storm damage.
No, I've not seen a huge tree like this just snap.
Part of Calgary gets hit again. 10 days of excitement. The Stampede wraps up with some questions about crowd control and putting on the pounds.
So all these challenges could have led to greater amounts of calories going in.
A sharp increase in obesity for Canadians.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Ian White.
Good afternoon. A massive storm blew through the city last night, pummeling much of North Calgary with a barrage of hail and strong winds. Kevin Green is in Tuxedo Park, where the storm battered gardens and knocked down trees. And Kevin, the cleanup continues.
Actually, and I'm just across 4th Street into Mount Pleasant, and this pile of what you essentially think of as cordwood that's behind me, well, until last night, it was a 20-meter tall green ash tree like the rest of them you see down here on 23rd Avenue, and it blew over and landed on top of this camperized minivan. This is what it looked like just a few hours ago before the arborists arrived to cut it up for removal. And this is what it sounded like here on 23rd Avenue Northwest as that storm hit. You can hear the hail here was intense. Like last year, the hardest hit areas were in North Calgary, but this time, houses and cars were left mostly unscathed. It was the trees and gardens hit hardest, leaving shell-shocked homeowners with a big cleanup job.
You think maybe a branch here or there might come down, or yeah, you expect some hail damage, but no, I've not seen a huge tree like this just snap.
With that hail and all that, you couldn't even see probably 10 feet in front of you. Just, yeah. They come up so fast, 5 minutes it took.
Oh, the wind has come in like 60, 70 mile an hour or more, I guess. Knocked one of my trees down, and the backyard just looks like a war zone.
After last year's multi-billion-dollar hailstorm, anytime the skies open up like they did last night, it sends shivers down the down the spine of homeowners and of insurance companies. Ian, I called a half dozen insurance brokers here in Calgary today. Not one of them, though, told me that they'd had a single claim called into them today because of last night's hailstorm.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. City officials say all this rain should not create any overflow from the Bow and Elbow rivers. The city has adjusted water levels at the Glenmore Reservoir in response to expected runoff from the Elbow. But while you will see the water levels rise along the Bow and Elbow, officials aren't expecting any flooding.
We're expecting moderate impacts, and so this is, for a summer rainfall event, it'll raise our river levels back to sort of more typical spring levels. So what you would see on the rivers on a normal June day, maybe a little bit higher than that.
1 or 2 pathway underpasses will be closed along the Elbow due to higher flow. Officials will restore the Glenmore Reservoir to normal levels this week to ensure water supply if conditions dry up over the next couple of months. Gina joins us now with a first look at the weather. Those images of the storm in the north end of Calgary were just incredible, and yet other parts of the city were virtually untouched.
Especially if you're in the southwest. You basically missed the system coming through. So I have a shot of it actually for you here, just so you can see how quickly it moved through and the really intense hail core that grazed over the northwest and northeast quadrants predominantly before this moved out. This is on about a 2-hour loop between 6:30 and 8:30, and yeah, it really packed a punch, this system, in those quadrants of the city with that hail, the strong winds and heavy rains. We're still dealing with the rain right now. We're at 12 degrees currently. Really cooled things off that system last night, and then we got the second wave of the rain that moved in at around 1 o'clock this morning. So we do have those rainfall warnings in effect, some other watches and advisories as well. And when we take a look at your 24-hour forecast here, brought to you by 5th Avenue Volkswagen, where you can win your ride. See dealer for details, or visit 5thavenuevolkswagen.com. Rain should wrap up a little later this evening, and then we get more of that sunshine for Tuesday, Ian.
Thanks, Gina. Today is the 25th anniversary of the Pine Lake tornado, the second deadliest tornado in Alberta history. On July 14th, 2000, an F3 tornado hit the Pine Lake area southeast of Red Deer. It destroyed a campground and trailer park. 12 people were killed and more than 100 were injured. The tornado touched down at 7 in the evening. In all of Alberta history, only the Edmonton tornado of 1987, which killed 27 people, had a higher death toll. The 2025 Calgary Stampede has fallen just short of an overall attendance record. Now the cleanup and teardown continues on the grounds. Jordan Canigan is on the grounds with more. And Jordan, this year's Stampede had its challenges.
And Ian, the Stampede CEO says that they will be addressing some of those concerns that they heard over the last 10, 11 days about overcrowding and safety. First, though, they have to clean everything up. It has been a very, very busy day at Stampede Park behind me. It has also been a very rainy day as they clean up and dismantle everything. That all happening after more than 1.4 million people passed through the gates this year. They missed beating last year's attendance record by only about 7,600 people. It was far from a perfect event. A horse was euthanized Saturday after it suffered a front leg fracture during the Rangeland Derby, and 3 people were assaulted and stabbed on the Midway last week. Now, the Stampede says it will also be looking at changes to the Coke stage after massive crowds for especially 2 of the main performances. They will consider more barriers and crowd mitigations. They'll also determine whether lesser known acts should be booked instead. Individual day attendance records were set, but overall the mark was just missed.
That's not the focal point. The focal point needs to be the experience we are providing on park. Because if everyone who comes on this park has an outstanding experience, they're more likely to come back in the future. They're more likely to tell their friends and family.
Now, it is still years away, but the Stampede grounds and its footprint will look quite a bit different, especially as the event center is completed and eventually the Saddle Dome is demolished. That demolition will mean an additional 11 acres will be added to the Stampede ground footprint. That extra space certainly needed as Calgary continues to grow and that attendance continues to soar. Ian?
Jordan, thanks very much. 2 Calgarians say their private health information has been breached after receiving a medical records mix-up from the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Alberta. Tiffany Matson did not know Kurt Thiessen. The pair connected after she received a decision from the college for a complaint she filed about a surgeon. However, it was Thiessen's decision, leaving her wondering where hers may be. Thiessen received his decision by mail, but was stunned to see it had also gone to Matson. Each wants answers to what they call an egregious error of private health information being shared.
The cover letter was my information, and once I moved on to the second page, I started to notice they were talking about a physician that was not the physician in which I had a complaint about. And as I read further down, I noticed that there was another patient's name. And I realized shortly after that this was not my decision, this was not my appeal, this had nothing to do with me.
The College of Physicians and Surgeons of Alberta tells CTV News they learned today there may have been a privacy breach, and they've opened an investigation into what they call a rare and concerning situation. Calgary police continue to ask for witnesses to come forward and anyone who has footage of a fatal crash in the southwest. An 18-year-old man died in a single vehicle collision around 3:30 yesterday morning at 194th Avenue and McLeod Trail. Police believe speed was a factor. Investigators say the vehicle was in the eastbound lanes of 194th, and as it crossed a bridge over railway tracks, the vehicle rotated and struck a light pole. Police believe several people witnessed a shooting yesterday, and they're asking for video of the incident. One person suffered minor injuries after being shot in the 600 block of 6th Avenue Southwest around 3:30 a.m. Police believe a fight between a small group outside a restaurant escalated into shots being fired. One person was struck by a stray bullet. No one is in custody. One person is dead after a group of boaters became stranded on a sandbar in northern Alberta. 5 people were on the sandbar on Lesser Slave Lake on Friday at about 10:30 p.m. when their boat started to float away. A 39-year-old man from Grand Prairie tried to reach the boat but was swept underwater. The other 4 boaters were rescued by the Big Lakes County Fire Department. Search teams were deployed and the boat was spotted by helicopter on Saturday. The man's body was found underwater by a fisherman using sonar.
The family of each of the boaters were there in the area helping. There was the local helicopter pilot. There was some fishermen with sonar that were going through the area as well.
RCMP thanked the many locals who joined in the search for the 5th boater. The leader of the Alberta NDP has been sworn in as a member of the Legislative Assembly, and he's kicked off the party's Better Together summer. The initiative pushes back on separatist sentiments and encourages Albertans to consider what being part of a strong Canada looks like. Naheed Nenshi says Premier Danielle Smith is pushing a separatist agenda by making it easier to hold a referendum on separation. He also condemns withdrawing from the Canada Pension Plan and replacing the RCMP. The Better Together tour will see NDP members meet with Albertans in small and mid-sized communities this summer.
Remind yourself that all this division and anger is fundamentally un-Albertan. That here in Alberta we stick together. That we come together, that we solve problems, that we make things better. We don't flap our arms around and yell and scream and throw tantrums and threaten to take our toys away. That's not what built this province, and that is not what Albertans are interested in.
Nenshi is now MLA for Edmonton Strathcona, winning the seat with over 80% of the vote. Gurtej Singh Brar was also sworn in as MLA for Edmonton Ellerslie. Smoke from the north blanketing the south. Coming up, the effects of poor air quality in many parts of Canada. Also ahead, obesity setback. A new study shows how much weight Canadians gained during the pandemic. Also, if you have a news tip for us, text us at 10400. An out-of-control wildfire near Princeton in southern BC has forced several people to flee.
We have 40 firefighting personnel actioning the fire, and with that, we also have structure protection crews and a structure protection specialist, as well as aerial resources.
Video from the Princeton Golf Club shows crews fighting the August Lake fire. An evacuation order is in effect for about 30 properties. Smoke from wildfires is impacting air quality for millions of people in Ontario and Quebec. A jet stream is pushing wildfire smoke across parts of the country. The plume blanketing areas of the country from Saskatoon through parts of Manitoba, Ontario, and into Quebec. Air quality in Toronto ranked among the worst in the world.
The situation right now is that the air systems that are in central parts of the Canadian prairies are then picked up by the wind patterns that are carrying that air down to the southeast from where it is then to now over where we are in southern Ontario.
Models indicate the smoke could linger over parts of Ontario and Quebec into Wednesday, possibly even Thursday. Many people in Montreal are cleaning up storm damage after an intense downpour. Environment Canada says between 70 and 80 millimeters of rain fell in Montreal and several other parts of Quebec yesterday. At the height of the storm, tens of thousands of homes were without power, but no injuries are reported. And Gina, we're still doing the math here.
Yes.
But they got 70 to 80 millimeters of rain in Montreal. That's about as much as we were expected to get here.
That's why we're under that rainfall warning, certainly, is because we could see totals get between 50 to 80 millimeters. I mean, amounts are going to vary throughout the city and the other impacted areas with this rainfall warning. What I can tell you so far is just that storm that moved through yesterday brought about 11, 12 millimeters over the city. And yeah, we'll get a better idea of those totals for today by tomorrow. But looking at your current temperatures right now, we're seeing about 12 degrees at the airport, 12 downtown, and 11 in Bragg Creek. Get your daily dose of greens at Serenity Golf Club, just 20 minutes east of Calgary. Now, we do have some other totals I can tell you about too with that system that moved through yesterday, seeing some wind speed values. So our strongest winds were south of Cypress Hills in the Claresholm area at 115 kilometers an hour. Here in Calgary, when that system moved through, the airport clocked 93 kilometers an hour. So very strong winds when that system came and went very quickly. And now we're dealing with that next wave of precipitation currently over the city right now, bringing the rainfall warnings to Calgary and the surrounding area, especially if you're joining us in the foothills. You are involved with that as well. And here's our radar satellite currently just showing we're still in the thick of that wet weather setup, and it extends several provinces spanning from BC all the way into Manitoba. Hopefully it'll help with that air quality situation in parts of Alberta here and into Saskatchewan, but rainfall is starting to taper off here in Calgary. I mentioned earlier, probably right around 11 o'clock, we'll start to see it subside. Same for the Banff area, and it's a little bit more thick in Lethbridge right now, the rainfall, but it'll start to subside overnight as well. Quick look at your futurecast here. That does show this system starts to taper off throughout the overnight hours. Little cloudy tomorrow morning, maybe some chance of showers throughout parts of the city, but start to see more of that sunshine work its way back up into the sky throughout Tuesday afternoon. And then Wednesday shaping up to be a mix of sun and cloud. But Thursday, you'll see on our regional forecast here, is when we're expecting our next round of active weather, instability, some cooling temperatures, and the chance of thunderstorms. So we get a break for Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it's going to be that Thursday where we start to see another stretch of unstable weather. You can see really from Thursday into the weekend, we will have that thunderstorm risk throughout the afternoons and overnight hours. But before then, bit of a warm up, looking like a nice Tuesday afternoon, up to 18 degrees, and then 21 by midweek.
It's another impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Canadians gained weight. Researchers at McMaster University found obesity rates rose from 25% of Canadians in 2019 to 33% in 2023. The findings were based on people's body mass index. The increase was especially high among young people and women. It happened when many of us were in lockdown, staying close to home and close to the kitchen.
Why would people have more of an intake? Maybe because of the isolation, maybe because of depression. So all these challenges could have led to greater amounts of calories going in.
Authors of the study also believe the stress of job loss or added caregiving responsibilities may have had an impact on people's weight. Talk about long odds. A golfer gets a hole-in-one in Kananaskis country in her first round ever. We hear from her later. Once again, there's tension worldwide over the latest tariff threats from the Trump administration. Joining me is Faisal Karmali, portfolio manager with the Popwich Karmali Advisory Group. So Faisal, the EU is threatening countermeasures over the latest U.S. tariffs.
This is a key piece right now because as of up until this date, the EU has not done any counter tariff to the United States. They've been trying to work on some negotiation, and now they're accusing the Trump administration for not taking any extra efforts in order to getting a sit down. And this is a big problem for the EU, which is now the opportunity for them to look at some countermeasures. Now, that being said, Canadians have to remember that the EU, as a combined group of countries, is the second largest, if not the largest, economic superpower in the world. So this is a big, big piece, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity. And if they don't get to the table with EU first, maybe other countries like Mexico, Canada, and others will step up to the plate.
And Meta plans to build some massive data centers.
This is a gigawatt-sized data center that Mark Zuckerberg just announced today. This is humongous. Normally, these data centers are just in the megawatts. This is now a gigawatt. To give us some perspective of how powerful these data centers are, put 100 million LED light bulbs together, and that's the kind of power we're talking about. This is huge, and in fact, he said we're going to have the first one ready online in 2026. Huge move if that happens out. Not the only one going to participate in this. Other big companies are going to do this, but it's a big opportunity for Meta. Stock up 0.5% right now.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you for having me.
Health Canada is recalling a portable baby bed over potential fall, strangulation, and entrapment hazards. Health Canada has determined the La Melue baby best nests do not meet regulations. No incidents have been reported. 28 were reportedly sold in Canada between 2023 and April of this year. Parents and caregivers are advised to immediately stop using the recalled beds and contact the company for a full refund. It's been a rainy cleanup day for many Calgarians. Here's Tara Nelson with a look ahead to CTV News at 6.
Hi, Ian. Several neighborhoods on the north side of the city took the brunt of last night's storm. Coming up, we hear from Calgarians dealing with some hail damage, uprooted trees, and a lot of debris. Also ahead, a new report shows more Albertans are on the edge of financial insolvency than people in any other province. Ian.
Thank you, Tara. The sunshine makes a return tomorrow. Right now in Calgary, it's raining lightly and 12 degrees. Gina has details still ahead. Well, if it's still a little soggy in your neighborhood, it will probably dry up in the next 24 hours.
Yes, sunshine is on the forecast, but also some more instability later in the week as well. So a bit of an up and down forecast ahead for us, but rain should start to taper off a little later this evening. We're at 12 degrees. We managed to get up to 13, but still well below that normal high of 23 for this time of year. So this system certainly cooled things off, but starting to make its way out of Calgary, heading in that southerly direction. So areas to the south of us, especially on Highway 2 there, heading towards Lethbridge, very wet setup there for the next couple of hours. But as Ian mentioned, after the morning hours, more sunshine up in the sky there, up to 18 degrees. We're still below seasonal for the next 3 days, but the sunshine will certainly be welcome all the same.
Thanks, Gina. It's something all golfers dream of, and one young woman did it in her very first round. Emma Strong got a hole-in-one on the Kananaskis golf course the first time she golfed. The thrilling moment was posted on the golf course's social media pages. Strong is from Manchester, England, and is working at the golf course in the snack shack for the summer. A friend convinced her to play around, and Emma got a hole-in-one on the par 3 fourth hole on the Mount Lorette course.
At first, I was kind of like, oh, yay, great. And then everyone was like, oh, my God, like my friend Emily, she cried. And I was just like, what? Why are you crying? And then, yeah, I just kind of thought everyone got a hole-in-one, like maybe every few rounds. Like I don't golf, and none of my family golf, so I don't know the golf terms or anything like that.
Emma says the rest of her round was terrible. She's played another round since then, equally unimpressive, and thinks she might have to retire from the game of golf. Congratulations to her. Well, thank you for joining us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.